Okay, I thought this could be fun. I've been doing some lists, and so I've been doing like, top quarterbacks, top wide receivers. Then it kind of got me thinking, what if I narrowed it down a little bit? What about my pick for the top 7 deep passing quarterbacks? These are quarterbacks, and the way I'm defining it is just at throwing a deep ball. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Number 7, give me someone without a cannon of an arm necessarily. I'm going Joe Burrow. A couple of numbers to look at. These are going to be their statistics on 20-plus yard down the field throws. So for Joe Burrow, he's 5th in terms of PFF grade on those types of throws, 13th in terms of passer rating, which is interesting because I would have expected kind of a flip of that, right? Because it does seem like a lot of it was Jamar Chase is getting open and Burrow's then, hitting him. But at the same time, a lot of those throws, I feel like Chase isn't getting like wide open. He's getting open enough where he can make one of those athletic catches, but Burrow's also putting it right on the spot where Chase can make one of those catches. So that's really why I decided to put Burrow here. So it does feel like his deep balls are consistently accurate. So again, does he have the cannon that some of these other guys on this list are going to have? No, and that is part of why I docked him a couple of spots, but he still has a good enough arm for sure. He can run off balance, which that is something I factored in is, being able to get those deep shots to begin with as well. He can do that. So that's why I decided to have him at number 7 here. Number 6, give me Tom Brady. And this one's going to get some people frustrated. Tom Brady, the check down artist himself, Tom Brady. Listen, that's not who he is. He has a fantastic deep ball. And again, if you value just putting the ball in the right place, he consistently does that. And on those deep passes, a lot of times accuracy is what matters. His PFF grade was 3rd best in football on 20-plus yards down the field last year. And I don't think it's because he was throwing a lot of 22-plus yards down the field throws. It's because he is good at it. The passer rating, the results weren't quite there, which is maybe part of why, it didn't work out as well, which again makes sense, right? If Mike Evans is getting double teamed, and quite frankly, teams played cover 2 against them constantly last year, so the numbers aren't going to be as good. That checks out. But Brady does do a great job at when he, feels like it's necessary. A big element of this is he doesn't push the ball down the field unless he has to, or unless he wants to. I guess I probably should say. He's not going to force it. And so because of that, I think that's part of why his PFF grade looks better, is because he picks his spots better. But to me, that's also a part of it, is being smart. Football is, at the end of the day, at the quarterback position, it is a mental game, and Brady is great at that mental aspect. So I am going to put him at 6. I know some people are going to say Brady at top deep passer. That's absolutely insane. But there's advanced statistics that says that he could have been earlier. So I think, to me, this feels right at 6. Number 5, give me Justin Herbert. He's someone who does have a cannon, right? So you can't say he doesn't have the arm strength. His arm strength is up there with anyone's in football. The numbers are still good. 6th PFF grade and 8th passer rating. So the results were there. And this guy made some throws last year that just felt like, how has anyone made that throw? How is that possible to throw the ball the way that you did? So he's definitely someone who will wow you with his deep ball. He, again, like Burrow, is an athlete, so he can do it off balance as well. And he can stretch the field. I mean, you have to cover 60 yards, maybe even 70, when you're playing Justin Herbert, because he is someone who's just capable of doing all of that stuff. Number 4, give me Josh Allen, who you could have definitely put higher on this list if you wanted to. Even now, I'm kind of like, I could have argued putting him higher. I still think that this feels right for me. Listen, he'll miss some throws. That is kind of the one knock, is that his consistency over the years especially hasn't always been great on deep balls, but his arm strength is second to none. I mean, he's probably the best in terms of just pure arm strength out of anyone in the NFL. So while there has been a few misses, it hasn't been that bad. Last year he was good, 2nd best PFF grade, 4th best passer rating, and again, him being 4th on this list is a compliment, not an insult. I think that what he does, another guy who can scramble outside the pocket to allow for time to happen so he can throw the ball down the field. He is someone who has a cannon of an arm, and I do feel like sometimes what it does, it also sets things up, right? Because he can throw the ball so far, the defensive backs have to follow deep there, and then he can set up other things. So the fact that he has a cannon and that his players know how to adjust to it, that definitely is a huge benefit to the Bills, obviously. Of course, if you're on this list, it's going to be a huge benefit to your team. Number 3, I'm going a guy who's gotten a decent amount of criticism this offseason, I think, but Kyler was great at the deep balls. He was the best in football, according to PFF, and still 5th best in terms of, a passer rating. Now, you could argue, I guess the one thing maybe knock is that, like, when he got blitzed, he pretty much just dropped back and chucked one up to DeAndre Hopkins on, like, a lot of cover zeros. He just drops back, chucks it up to DeAndre Hopkins, who has one-on-one, so that might make him look a little better. I'm willing to give you that. I think that that's a fair point, but I would also argue that that's what he should be doing. That's the correct play, to throw it up to DeAndre Hopkins, so I don't hold that against him necessarily, just that might inflate his numbers a little bit. But also, this guy is incredibly accurate down the field. He can push the ball down the field well. He has a big arm despite not being a huge guy. And if you want to talk about being able to make guys miss the bye time to then throw down the field, is there anyone better at that than Kyler? I don't think so. So, at least in terms of in the pocket stuff, I guess Lamar Jackson is the other guy you would consider. Those two, and again, I'm just talking about in terms of from scramble to throwing down the field type stuff, not necessarily scrambling in general. That's definitely something that he does well. So again, if I need someone to give me a 50+ yard touchdown, he's thrown a Hail Mary before in this league. So I'm going to definitely say that Kyler is, he's one of the best deep passers in the league, in my opinion. Number 2, this one's going to take some explaining, Russell Wilson. Because, you look at his numbers last year, he was 14th best according to PFF. Still had a decent results, 6th best in terms of his, passer rating. But he was banged up last year, and he's historically been a top 3 guy in each of these categories for most of his career. I'm willing to write off last year as kind of it was an injury situation. He didn't, he kind of got, weird stuff happened. It wasn't his best year. I'm willing to write that off as an outlier year and still put him at number 2, which maybe you could say I should drop him a couple of more spots. And if you want to do that because of it, that's fine. I just think, again, you tell me I need someone to, over the course of a game, get one 50-yard touchdown. I think that I would still pick Russell Wilson above everyone except for one player because I've seen him do it so much over the course of his career, even if he didn't do it a ton last year. Finally, give me Mahomes boy himself. Give me Patrick Mahomes, number 1, who his numbers, you could maybe say I should have to talk you into this one a little bit as well, because the 8th best PFF grade and 3rd best passer rating, which is good, but it's not best in football. But Mahomes, kind of like Wilson, I'm taking the bigger sample size here. Last year wasn't Mahomes' best year, but part of it is his numbers aren't going to be great 20+ yards down the field when teams play cover 2 literally every game against him. Teams know they have to cover the deep ball. So the way that they play him, the deep passes just aren't going to be there as much this year. That's logically makes sense. Doesn't mean he's worse at it. So I think that for Mahomes, he's someone who, literally his deep ball has changed football in a way where teams just everyone's playing cover 2 defenses now. Teams weren't doing that before Mahomes got there. Mahomes has changed football. He's like the Steph Curry of football. He's not the best we've ever seen, but he's one of the most unique we've ever seen and has changed the sport. I truly believe that. And it's because of his deep ball. So because of that, to me, I think it would be a horrible list if he wasn't at least very high on this list. And to me, I think he has to be number 1. I know people hate the media gushing over Mahomes. Well, if you want to call me the media, you can. I'm going to gush over Mahomes. I still think he's incredible. Wasn't great last year. That's fair. You can call him out when it's due. He has had some tough performances. Hasn't had great Super Bowls. But again, I think that he's done so much. His deep ball, say what you want about Mahomes, you can't take that away from him. The way that he can do that, he can scramble and throw off balance 50 yards down the field with ease. That's something that he can do. I don't know who else can do that. So yeah, we all know Mahomes is great at deep ball, but he's number 1 on my list. Who's number 1 on yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.